Hey everyone, One Big Boss here with New2Retro Reviews' first ever video game review. My friends and I had talked about what we were going to do to start off this review site. We didn't know what games to choose from at first. We have a huge library of games that we can start off with, and with all the new games coming out for all the different systems this year, and the ones upcoming for next year, we weren't sure where to start. So we decided to start a little bit old school and go with this little throwback of Mario Bros. 2 for the SNES. Back in 1987, Nintendo of America was shown what the Japanese version of Super Mario Bros. 2 looked like, and they were scared. The game later would become known as Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels in America. Fearing the game would not sell well in America or the international market due to the game looking too much like the original Super Mario Bros., Nintendo had to come up with a new idea fast, which they did by porting a popular Famicom game in Japan called Yumi Kojo Doki Doki Panic. Nintendo changed it up to replace the features of the original game and swapped out all the characters for Mario characters. The game also got a new game title called Super Mario USA in Japan while fans were waiting for the completion of Super Mario Bros. 3. Many of the game's characters that were created for the game appeared as regular enemies and playable characters in later Mario franchise games, such as Shy Guys, Sniffets, Bomb-Bombs, Pokies, and even Birdo. Though Wart himself only appeared in this game, he appeared in the Game Boy game The Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, but he was actually called Mamu and was an ally. The story for the game is pretty simple. Mario, his younger brother Luigi, Princess Toadstool, and Toad are on a picnic when they stumble into the world of Subcon, which has been taken over by an evil monster named Wart and has stolen a machine called the Nightmare Machine. The people of Subcon have asked Mario and his friends to help save them from Wart. So it's up to Mario and the others to save the world from Wart and his 8-bit army and his 6 generals. Gameplay is pretty different in Super Mario Bros. 2 than its previous game, but it's still considered a 2D platformer. Mario no longer simply defeats enemies just by jumping on them and turning them into pancakes. Instead, Mario and his friends now pick up enemies and throw them at other enemies, or pluck vegetables out of the grounds and use them as weapons. Mushrooms returned as well and also increase your heart containers, but you were only able to find these in certain levels when you had a Warp Door potion bottle. But you had to be careful where you threw these bottles, because if you would have missed the position or placed it in a place it shouldn't have been, you wouldn't be able to find the mushroom to increase your health. The Superstar also makes a return and makes you invincible for a short period of time. Since blocks aren't present in this Mario game, the only way to get a star is to collect 5 red cherries that are seen throughout the levels. Most levels have you running around and climbing your way to a door to help you proceed throughout the rest of the level, though in some cases that's just not how it goes. You'll need to find a key to remove the lock on some doors. Seems simple, right? Wrong. Sometimes it can be, but when you pick up the key, the mask will relentlessly track you down room from room. You can destroy it with a star, but another mask will be back to take its place eventually. You can also use the key as a weapon and throw it at other enemies that are obstructing your way, until you get to the door and use it. At the end of every level, you are rewarded with a chance to gain some extra lives that you may have lost from the previous level, with a slot machine minigame. How many coins you collected during the run through the level determines how many spins you'll get. Also, what makes this game great is the 4 playable characters and their each unique abilities, which I thought was amazing at the time. From best to worst in strength goes Toad, Mario, Luigi, and Peach. From best to worst in running is again same as strength, although when it comes to holding items, Luigi and Peach's jump abilities are decreased heavily, while Mario's is only slightly decreased, and Toad sees no change whatsoever in his jump abilities. Because of each character's traits, some levels will be easier to get by using certain characters. Other characters also are able to find hidden areas because of their unique abilities. Personally, I love using Toad because he could speed through almost every level with no problem, but I always use Luigi due to his jumping powers because some levels, for him, as shown by the clip here, it's easier to get by with certain characters. The game is somewhat long but enjoyable, with 7 different worlds, each containing 3 levels except for the last world, which only has 2. After most first levels and second levels, you'll have to face Birdo, whom holds a crystal ball that enables you to open the Hawk Mouth to travel to the next level. Usually at the end of the 3rd level, you will end up having to face off against one of Wart's henchmen. The game looked great and the graphics, even on the NES, were good, but the SNES update graphics were something to be impressed by. I love the worlds you visited, and the underground caverns were really impressive, though I have to say I wasn't a fan of the factory/tower looking levels. I mean, they were tough, especially when it came to jumping, and if you missed, you'd be falling all the way back down to the bottom of the level and then having to repeat. I'd have to say another thing that bothered me about this game was the jumping. Even for the characters that were supposed to be good with jumping, I still felt like I was gripping the NES controller or the SNES controller just a little too much to the point where I think I may have broke one in the past. Though I did enjoy World 4, sliding on the ice after a while, I remembered the Beezle's flight pattern so I would be able to just run, duck, and slide my way through the entire level. I enjoyed the bosses of the game as well. Each one was more memorable than the last, especially my favorite boss, Fry Guy. He's really the only boss that ever gave me a decent challenge in the game. I wasn't too happy how we never got to face him more than once, whereas Mauser and Triclyde were fought twice and Birdo makes numerous appearances throughout the game. This game's soundtrack didn't really catch my ear. There's a few memorable tracks, but it's not by any means a bad soundtrack, it just didn't really draw me in more than the gameplay was doing, you know? I know some reviewers and other gaming magazines said that the game was bad from the get-go and was one of the worst Mario games ever. This is due to it not being true to the Mario series, but many disagree and enjoyed the game. I had my problems with it, but it doesn't make it a bad game sales-wise. Speaking of sales-wise, it actually proved to be the third best-selling NES game with over 10 million worldwide sold. Not too shabby, I'd have to say. There's also a port to the Game Boy Advance, which I have somewhere in my collection. Somewhere around here. This version was released in 2001, and not only was it an update, but it also had the classic Mario Bros. Arcade game coming with it. That's good marketing. The list of changes were really big in this port. Characters and enemies now had voices, and there were even Yoshi eggs to find in the extra levels. If you're going to buy any of these versions, and you want the full Super Mario Bros. 2 experience, I would suggest going online or going to a game store and finding the Game Boy game. Let's not forget the replay value. Does this game own up to be as addicting as its predecessor? Well, to me, I say it does. Though there's virtually nothing to unlock, your really only challenge is to get through the game. I'd say it's 50-50. If you're a Mario fan, then you're going to enjoy playing it over and over from time to time. Only the Game Boy Advance version will have the challenge you're looking for. I would suggest, like I did above, going out to your store, going online, and finding the Game Boy Advance version. Or possibly waiting till it is released on the 3DS, if they will actually release it on the 3DS. Alright viewers, that does it for the first ever New2Retro Review. Please like and comment, and if you haven't already, subscribe to our page. Tune in next week as we review Mighty Morphin Power Rangers for the Super Nintendo. Should be a good one because this is a game that I've been playing with a friend of mine for many years, and it never gets old, at least to us anyway. So, until next week everybody, see you later.